What's up, man? We got you in your civvies today, which
I'm
I
in
have
my
to.
civvies. We're shooting today. We're shooting pre-fast money, so I'm in my pre-fast money
What
T-shirt.
what I was gonna say? What are you working
T.
there? Is that just like a gray T-shirt, or is
It's
that
a
is there
gray, just a
is
gray
that actually
short
like
sleeve
is that maybe like
T-shirt.
moleskin? Is that like a moleskin shirt or something that's like textured? Or I can't.
Have you been dying to say moleskin all day? I mean, you rattled it off twice in like less than 2 seconds. No,
Well,
I don't know what a moleskin shirt is.
do you know what moleskin is?
Is it mole, M-O-L-E, like
Yeah.
moleskin? No,
I think,
I do not
yeah,
know.
I think so. And it's, I'll stay away from other prefixes you could tack onto skin.
Sure.
But
Tough skin.
It's nice. It's like a soft, almost like faux suede.
By the way, you know what wasn't faux was the gutsy win.
Gutsy win by the
Mets last
Metropolitans.
night. But here's the question before we get into, because I know you have a lot you want to know. Here's a question for you. It's a legit question.
Of course, they always are.
Given what transpired last night, would you have rathered the Mets lost and Jake come out healthy, or were you okay with how things went down? Tim Seymour.
And look, Jake throws a shutout, or at least leaves having struck out 14 in the seventh inning, giving up no runs. He may have cemented his place for the Cy Young while the Mets do nothing this year. So we might have the Cy Young. I think your buddy Michael Conforto is in the short list of MVP discussion. And then, of course,
you're really embarrassing
my man
yourself.
Jimenez. That's right. I said Jimenez is in the Rookie of the Year conversation. So individual awards. When as fans we are rooting for the team, what do you do? Do you root for your guy to get his third Cy Young, best pitcher in baseball? I wasn't, but I tell you, and we have to move on because there's a lot to do. But when your boy Edwin Diaz came on in the ninth to close it out after a tremendous comeback to put us up 5-4, I couldn't watch it. I turned away. Yeah. And that I have to admit doesn't make me very proud.
Tells you all you need to know. So, by the way, I hate to burst your, and we're going to talk, but I think one Clayton Kershaw, who toes the rubber for the Dodgers of Los Angeles, is this year's Cy Young. But that's just me. And anyway, I apologize. And listen, maybe Conforto will grab a couple of third place MVP votes. And I know Met fans will get all geeked up about it because that's what you guys and gals do. And again, before we drop into the market, I watched the end of the Met game last night, and you would have thought they won the effing seventh game of the World Series without that announcing crew.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
No, you know what, Guy? I'm sorry. My team plays with some passion. Oh, you're right. That's wrong. Because, in fact, we won an important game. What are we supposed to put our heads down and just kind of slunk back into the dugout like the professional Yankees? Look, just because your guys can't grow mustaches,
get to 500 and we'll talk.
I know there's no facial hair on the Yankees, but you know what? Maybe there should be, because I think that kind of expression. By the way, seeing you in your skivvies reminds me of Dress Down Day when it first started on Wall Street, when you would see
Lehman
dudes, and I don't. It's not you, because you're fine. In fact, you're in a very neutral, non-moleskin gray shirt here today. But there were guys that were walking in. And they really looked like they were wearing clown suits. And they should not, all they knew how to do was put a suit on, yet somehow somebody told them they looked good in that plaid shirt. Anyway, so look, I've got a stack.
What do you got going? What do you got going back there?
I got a stack of books. You know, this is the time capsule. We're in my time capsule right now. And so I've got 10 rock and roll books here. And I thought it would be kind of fun because today's a market day. Markets are heaving. We've got a bunch of stocks, including Apple, below the 50-day for the first time in probably 5 months. So let's talk about. So I want to weave, but I'm going to let you pick a book.
Okay. Is the top book number one? So it's being the Bob Dylan book, because I can see
Bob Dylan.
So the Dylan book is one. You probably have about 8 books there, if I can count correctly.
6, 7. No, I think I have 10. I mean, I grabbed 1,
10.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I grabbed 11, actually.
Wow.
It tells you how deep the library is.
There's some thin ones in there. Maybe I'm just missing. Okay, so I'm going to pick number. I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm going to pick number 8. 8 is a very lucky number, if that's okay. You can pick number 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh,
that's Jim Morrison. That looks like Jim Morrison.
And so,
that's
all right,
fantastic.
Guy, you start the narrative of the book about the market that says no one here gets out alive.
No one here gets out alive. I mean, I go immediately, I'm thinking of the bond market, central banks, and how they've basically trapped the entire world into this narrative that rates are never going higher again. And I think that's a false narrative. So I do think no one gets out alive, because I think everybody's going to be in the same trade. And when this thing turns, which it will, it's going to be so fast that nobody's going to be able to get out. That was pretty good, by the way. What do you think about that?
It was excellent. I mean, there's no question that central banks have created a dynamic where no one here gets out alive. Folks, by the way, we didn't plan this. We picked out books. So now I'm going to go into the table of context, and I'll start going through a chapter or two. And so the first chapter is called "The Bow is Drawn," and I'll tell you that the bow is drawn not at COVID, but the bow was drawn probably in the tequila crisis in 1995. But you've heard me say it was probably drawn with long-term capital, which got central banks into a place where they were doing not only unconventional monetary policy, but flying outside of really their mandate. Chapter number 2, guys, called "The Arrow Flies." Talk to me about that.
Okay, so that's what I was just going to say. The bow definitely was drawn, and you brought this up. It was long-term capital markets, LTCM. That's when they drew the bow. The arrow is definitely been flying, and they've been shooting arrows all over the frickin' place. But the question is,
are they shooting blanks? Tim. Are they shooting blanks?
Are they shooting blanks? Or ready? This is an SAT word, guys and gals.
Yes.
Or is their quiver out of arrows?
Nice.
Like that? Like what I did there?
Yeah, I'm starting to quiver because, in fact, the third chapter is "The Arrow Falls." And the arrow for the market's going to fall when central banks don't have efficacy, when their actions don't prove to be supportive to or stimulative either to growth or to the market. Right now, they're targeting asset prices. The arrow hasn't fallen. In fact, the arrow has shot straight higher, and I think we've got a housing bubble brewing. I've talked about that. But the arrow will fall, and it will fall hard when the central banks no longer have the support of the markets. And as we often say, I hear you say this in my sleep sometimes, the central bank can't control, they can control the short end, but they can't control the long end. At some point, not only do we have inflation, but at some point, people are not going to necessarily, people being central banks around the world. I'm not here to tell you that the Chinese are going to stop buying U.S. treasuries, because that's something I've laughed at people on our show for. By the way, not very nice. Nobody wins points by laughing at people. I'm sorry for that. But I don't think that that's going to happen tomorrow either. But at some point, if rates start to back up and the ability to monetize our deficit is something we can no longer do, and the rest of the world is no longer willing to underwrite our debt, we're going to have major problems. That will not happen tomorrow. But unfortunately, this is a very long book. No one here gets out alive. And I remember starting to read this in like 9th or 10th grade. And there's 382 pages. By the way, like a lot of these rock books, it probably could have been 60 pages. But it's a long story. And what's been difficult for a lot of people in the market, look, the people that come on and talk about how the market is about to fall apart and they can't wait to short it have also been wrong. So as much as we want to talk about central banks, we respect the power of their ability to, allow a lot of people to stay in the trade until they're no longer solvent.
By the way, Broken Arrow, of course, a great movie with John Travolta, if you recall. I believe that was the name of the movie. I might have to go back to my IMBD thing or whatever that's called.
And speaking of bad songs, Poison Arrow, I believe, is a song by like the Thompson Twins. Shoot That Poison Arrow.
Which is terrible.
And it's terrible. It's almost as bad. So I don't have, and if Lydia, too, who's our former executive producer on Fast Money, would...
Don't even say it, because now the song is going to be in my head.
Song ever.
Poison Whiskey is a fantastic song by the great Leonard Skinner. And again, if you're alphabetizing your albums, we would have Leonard Skinner under the L's, folks.
Okay. Well, look, every rose has its thorn, and I think the markets are a little thorny out there. So whether you're Bret Michaels in your bandana or you're just me flying my civvies, it's a dangerous time for markets. If you think it's a one-way ticket higher, I'll see you on the show.
Yeah, sure you will. And in a dress shirt. I'll see you later.
Yes, I promise.